Good morning, all. We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand, and Andy or I call on you, come up to the podium, or unmute yourself, then speak. I think Randy?
Good morning. Yes, this afternoon, today at 2 o'clock right here in the sanctuary, there will be a session led by Vicki Hansen describing all the things you can do to help others who are elderly in our community, and also just for yourselves too. So a lot of very valuable information, very worthwhile. So please, if you can, attend today at 2 o'clock. And the second announcement is tomorrow at 4:30 is our worship committee meeting, our monthly meeting at online. And those of you who are in the committee, please be there. If you're interested in joining us, you're welcome to. Just let me know and I'll give you the link. Thank you.
Marcia? Oh.
Hi, good morning. Steve and I are planning to contact our UU members for their input in a future Sunday service. Everybody has a story. What's yours? It's going to be called the Cambria Story Project. We met with the worship committee and they approved this project. It's very simple. We plan to ask two very open-ended questions: how you found Cambria and why and when you decided to stay. We'll gather that information and organize your responses and present them in a future Sunday service in the fall of 2026. Further details will be forthcoming. Thank you for your interest and participation.
Let me just add that we're going to start contacting everyone in the summertime. Some of you might be unavailable or traveling or whatever. We'll try to contact you by email or by phone call. Just so you know, Marsha's email is something like pyramid. I'm not going to give the full email.
it's not a
It starts
scam.
with pyramid. It's not a scam. And mine, well, no, we're not asking anybody for money of any sort. And secondly, mine is Guitaro.
So yeah, it's in
Yeah.
our membership directory.
And if we leave you a phone call message, the area code for both of us is 516. That's a
So-
New York area code. So just so you know, there's no scams involved. We really want to contact you.
Can I just say one other thing? If we have a story, people have interesting stories. If you care to write your story down as just an exercise for yourself and you want to forward it to one of our emails, we'll include, that'll be easier actually for us than to listen to your story and take notes, or whatever. So if you feel like writing anytime during the summer and pondering about what's your story, how you found this place and why you stayed, please do that. That would be great. At any time. You can mail that to us at any time. Yes.
How many pages?
Shorter than Gone with the Wind.
Right. But we are avid readers, so we don't mind, and we're also Yentas, and we love to hear what your story is. So we won't mind at all.
You can edit that.
Yes, but we won't.
Marsha, leave that. That's minutes.
Oh, yes. Because you grabbed it.
That was going to be.
I brought it up, but he took it back.
Another shameless pitch on behalf of the Scholarship Committee. We are still collecting funds. We would still like to be able to fund an additional scholarship. There's envelopes in the back table, so designated for cash. Otherwise, if you have a check, just write Scholarship Committee. And if you get an email that starts with Ponzi, that's not us.
Yeah, Kelly.
This is a full cup of coffee announcement. And whatever goes right with it, attribute to Don. And whatever goes wrong with it, attribute to me. This is about representing our community at General Assembly this year. That's, some of you may not know what General Assembly is. It's the annual meeting of the Unitarian Universalist Association. It stretches over several days this year, and we can have 1 or 2 delegates. We also can have something that is a watch party for a particular part of it where more people are present, and this particularly might appeal to someone who is interested in learning more about what the whole UUA does in the U.S. and the world. And an example of what the denomination does, last week we had Heather Vickery, who works with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. She's co-director for congregational activism, so there's a lot going on outside our walls that would be good for us to connect with. One particular part of it is the WARE lecture, which is on a Saturday evening. I'll give you the dates in a second, the general ones, and then you can get in touch with Don or me. Some past speakers at the WARE lecture: May Sarton, Shirley Chisholm, Winona LaDuke, Maria Hinojosa, one of my faves, Cornel West, Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King Jr. The dates are, there's business only is June 14 to 16, and then there's a couple days break, and then there's a full weekend. It's all virtual only unless you go to Tennessee, but it's meant to be virtual. Hence the name is Meet the Moment, which was the name last year, but this time it's Meet the Moment Together Everywhere. So there are more than 50 workshops. There's all kinds of stuff. There's new music that comes out of it. And there's a great opportunity to see what our denomination looks like. You know, it's really very cool. So please contact Don or me about becoming a delegate to GA this year.
Any other announcements here? Okay, Andy, are there any remote participants with an announcement?
Not at this time. Back to you.
Okay. Thank you. Next week, Wayne Atto will present Tidbits from the Big Sur Coastal Highway Story. Let us take a moment to still our hearts, quiet our minds, and center ourselves. The road to enlightenment is long and difficult, and you should try not to forget snacks and magazines. Annie Lamott, Traveling Mercies, Some Thoughts on Faith. Janet will light the chalice here in the sanctuary. Those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. And a shout out to Judy and Treva and Susan. It's nice seeing you. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope as a sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Before we sing the opening hymn, let me remind our remote participants to remain muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing as loud and big as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, For the Beauty of the Earth, number 21.
Over and
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. The Santa Ynez Chumash Museum and Cultural Center opened in May 2025, almost a year. The Welcome Gallery, whose design is based on the Chumash structure called Ap, is illuminated by a skylight leading to the main galleries. A 3.5-acre cultural park and outdoor living museum feature an amphitheater, outdoor exhibits, and a living village. The landscape includes many traditional plants used for food, medicine, and crafts in the Chumash culture. The center also includes a discovery center, a heritage house, the Tomol House, and a gift shop. This new complex is located in Santa Ynez and looks like a great place to visit. Let us pause a few moments to respect the Chumash and Salinan legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles and 6 values: equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, justice, and interdependence, with love at the center. Today's service centers around the 3rd principle: reaffirm and promote acceptance of one another and encourage spiritual growth in our congregations. My name is Nancy Tolan, and I'm your worship associate for this morning's service. We extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you have joined us this morning. If you wish, please introduce yourself or your guest. If you are not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so we may keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out What's Going On, the UUCC newsletter sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. To see this or any past Zoom service, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now recite the UUCC affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and freedom, and to help one another. Now is the time for sharing Now is the time to share your heartfelt joys and concerns with this, your spiritual community. Please feel free to come forward and briefly express a personal celebration, sorrow, reflection, or gratitude. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are deeply felt in this community. The first reading are selections from Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. Each moment and whatever happens thrills me with joy. I cannot tell how my ankles bend, or whence the cause of my faintest wish, nor the cause of the friendship I emit, nor the cause of the friendship I take again. To walk up my stoop is unaccountable. I pause to consider if it really be, that I eat and drink is spectacle enough for the great authors and schools. A morning glory at my window satisfies me more than the metaphysics of books. To behold the daybreak, The little light fades the immense and diaphanous shadows. The air tastes good to my palate. I will not have a single person slighted or left away. A kelson of the creation is love. Let us join in a time of meditation, of prayer, and of silence. Let us seek the quiet and the calm, laying aside our struggles. And in the silence, may there be a reverence in our hearts, a thankfulness within our spirit, and a deepened understanding of the meaning of our lives. Let us enter the stillness. Light shine in, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full harmony, symphony. The second reading is an excerpt from the writing of Joanna Macy, environmental activist, author, and scholar of Buddhism and deep ecology. Active hope is waking up to the beauty of life on whose behalf we can act. We belong to this world. The web of life is calling us forth at this time. We've come a long way and are here to play our part. Please stand in body or spirit and sing Blue Boat Home, number 1064.
Still my dry land bark can
Today's talk is titled, I Wonder, Therefore I Am, to be delivered by Reverend Ken Reed Brown. Reverend Ken Reed Brown is a minister emeritus at First Parish in Hingham, Old Ship Church, having retired in 2022 after 35 years as minister. Ken lives in Hingham, Massachusetts with his wife Susan. They have 3 grown and married children and 8 grandchildren. Ken earned a BA in philosophy from Haverton College, and his Master of Divinity is from the Starr King School for the Ministry in Berkeley, California. He currently serves as co-chair of the Interfaith Committee, which organizes the Listening to Others' Voices speaker series at Glastonbury Abbey in Hingham, and on the Communications Committee of Elders Climate Action. Please welcome Reverend Ken.
Oh, well, hello to you all. It's wonderful to be with you, even at this distance of some few thousand miles, to be with you again. I believe the first time I preached for you all and spent time with you all was during 2020, the beginning of the pandemic. And it's been a delight to be with you a couple times a year, most years, ever since. So I appreciate the invitation to return. You clearly have a vibrant and rich conversation. Both the announcements and the joys and concerns illuminate that. I wish we were closer by, but it's a big carbon footprint to get out there. So we are grateful for this technology, this Zoom technology, which I knew nothing about. Most of us didn't, maybe in 2020, and then we all had to learn quickly as we did. I wonder, therefore I am, is my title, as you heard. Wonder. Dostoevsky said at some point, wonder will save us. A generation or two later, Solzhenitsyn said, but who will save wonder? Maybe it's each of us. Why talk about wonder and awe while everything is going on? Our democracy seems to be dissolving. The world is burning, atmosphere getting ever hotter. The current administration is fracturing both the Constitution and decades-long ties with our democratic allies. They've started a war in the Middle East with, well, really kind of thoughtless, with varied so-called reasons. It goes on and on. So why talk of wonder and awe at this critical moment of history in our nation's history and the world's history? Well, maybe there's no better time, seems to me, as I hope I'll make clear. Maybe you could write the sermon yourself. Maybe there's no better time to talk about and seek experiences of wonder and awe. Singer-songwriter Mark Arelli, he's local to our Boston area, one of our favorites here. He has a song titled "A Sense of Wonder," and there's a line that just has stayed with me. It says, if you ever lose your sense of wonder, honey, it'll be too soon. If you ever lose your sense of wonder, honey, it'll be too soon. So many experiences in our lives, if we pay attention, can evoke our sense of wonder. We heard Walt Whitman's from Leaves of Grass, Song of Myself, his wonder evoked by things as simple as, how is it that I bend my ankle or my wrist, we could have said. How is it that any thought becomes an action? My faintest wish, as he said. Simple a thing as walking up the stoop. If we notice that we're doing, how is it this really complex, a physician or a physical therapist can tell you how many muscles are engaged. How is it that we're able to do this? Sense of wonder, we can only wonder, feel a sense of wonder. Or a morning glory in the, outside our window, as Whitman says. So many experiences can evoke a sense of wonder. And wonder sometimes leads to awe. We've all experienced awe. It's just wonder on steroids, we might say. Wonder that really leaves us often wordless. Some experience that's beyond our rational understanding, just silences our brains. Experiences so profound and moving, even overwhelming sometimes, that with Emerson, as he reported, standing on a bare common, these experiences might lead us to be, to use his words, to be glad to the brink of fear. What a phrase that is, to be glad to the brink of fear. Awe. 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant, you may be familiar with this if you haven't read the Critique of Pure Reason and all of his difficult philosophical works, some of which I had to wade my way through at Haverford College all those years ago. But in a way, he boiled all such experiences of wonder and awe down to two overarching categories when he wrote, and I say maybe some of you are familiar with this, he said, two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe. The oftener and the more steadily we reflect on them. The starry heavens above and the moral law within. We might put it, on the one hand, the natural world in all of its beauty, this slide of someone walking through the woods, just all the beauty around us. A few months ago here in New England, the snow-covered woods, really deep snow-covered woods, but now the greening fields, the beauty of the hills and the sea near where you all are. On the other hand, our observations of human, moral, even heroic behavior grounded in conscience and virtue, what Kant called the moral law within. Both things evoke our admiration and awe, as Kant put it. I could list a whole slew of such experiences, as I'm sure each of you could. I'll mention a couple of my own experiences of wonder and awe that might bring to mind some of your own. 60 or so years ago, in our backyard of our suburban Long Island home, we had a telescope, and I remember as clear as if it was last night, peering through our telescope, not a ridiculously powerful telescope, but powerful enough to see the moons of Jupiter and the rings of Saturn. Not an artist's rendering, but the real thing, and to know that they were out there, we were here, and so on, evoked wonder and awe. I don't know if at that age I would have used those words, but oh my, I felt it. Then there was a splendid summer morning just a few years after that, when I was a summer camp counselor in the Adirondacks, and I'd hiked up what we called Vampire Mountain because of its appearance. And I'd hiked, not a huge mountain, I'd hiked part way up, but high enough to look back onto our summer camp, and then lakes and forests spread beyond, just beautiful. But what really got me was a sudden realization, just came to me, I didn't think about it so much, that as far as I could hike, wherever in the world, on the planet, I could never become completely independent, isolated from the sources that sustain me, human care, the food that grows, and so on and so forth. I would always be interdependent with others and the whole of nature for my sustenance in my very life. So that's the starry skies above and all the other beauties. When it comes to the moral law within, I felt what was, for me, a sense of awe. About 15 years ago, my mother, who was in her 90s and in the middle or even later stages of dementia, had broken her hip one evening, and we spent the night together in the emergency room. And as it became earlier in the morning, she was going to be going to surgery. And the hospital, well, the ER had always been active with the nurses and aides and doctors coming in and out. But as we got towards morning hours, later morning hours, then housekeeping coming around, maintenance people, food service. And I suddenly realized, felt that this was a house of love. Everyone there, whether housekeeper, doctor, maintenance, whomever, they were there because, whether they put it this way to themselves or not, they were there because they cared. They were working in a hospital because they cared about other people. It was a house of love. And finally, and briefly, in this brief catalog of experiences, perhaps you, like me, experienced awe, wonder, shifting to awe. Just a couple of months ago, when we saw those demonstrators coming out in the streets of Minneapolis, I was talking to one of my colleagues this morning at another church. She was out there. She'd gone out there to be of support. She said the warmest that it was on those days was when they went out was 17 degrees below zero. And they were out there. Awesome. And we learned all too tragically that they were out there at the risk of their lives. And then the millions, many of you among them, we were out here in Hingham, the millions yesterday who were out on the streets across an awesome sight to see on the news feed, crowd after crowd after crowd, cities, suburbs, small towns, all of which maybe suggest just at least the seed of the rebirth of democracy, we can hope. And we were all there, I believe, whether we put it this way or not, again, because the moral law within called us to be there. And what do these quite varied experiences, mine and whatever yours have been, have in common? Whatever else, all such experiences take us out of our small, what we could call our small self, the self we need. Ego, not egocentric, but the self we need to just navigate each day, to take care of our to-do list, to take care of the people we love and to do our job and so on. We need that small self. But if we get completely swallowed up by that, it narrows our experience of what it means to be, indeed what it feels like to be fully alive as part and parcel of the whole of the human family, the whole tapestry of life. As our seventh principle puts it, the interdependent web of existence. As you've heard now twice, here's the third time, my sermon title is I Wonder, Therefore I Am. It's a takeoff, as some of you may have noted or figured out or realized, on the 17th century philosophy, René Descartes, who said, I think, therefore I am. He had put everything into doubt. And the one thing he felt he couldn't doubt was he was thinking all this. I think, therefore I am, I must exist. Well, but what sort of I, Mr. Descartes? Surely, yes, an individual being capable of thought, whether simple or complex, true enough. And itself, wonderful to be able to think thoughts. But is this thinking self the whole story of who we are? But I wonder, therefore I am. Opens us, seems to me, to a far, far wider and deeper experience of who we are, not just to the abstract notion that this is who we are. I mean, scientists can tell us about the interdependent web and so on. But I wonder, therefore I am, opens us to the experience. And these sorts of instances I've described in your own experiences verify this, I believe. Wonder. It's named in the myths and legends, one way or another, of all the traditions of the world, certainly around Christmas time, the wonders of his love, the shepherds wondered these things and so on. And it was back at this recent Christmas that I began to think about wonder and its place in our lives and what it means to be a human being. All these stories of wonder in the ancient traditions, from Christmas to all the other traditions, can have the effect of evoking, they don't mean to be literally understood mostly, but they can have the effect of waking us up to being part of something larger, mysterious, but larger reality. We can use such words as God, Allah, Brahman, Thou, and so on, to point to the reality, the mysteries of the universe of which we are a part. But they can deceive us, those such words, into believing now we've got hold of the meaning of life. But no, we need the experience. I think Joseph Campbell, in those interviews years ago with Bill Moyers, I think Bill Moyers asked him something about faith. And Bill Moyers said, I don't have faith. I don't need faith. I have experience. That's what we're looking for. So ancient stories or personal experiences can awaken us to the wonder, the mystery of life all around us as something far more than, as the poet Wordsworth put it, getting and spending, through which, he went on, he said, through which we lay waste our powers. Well, that sounds too much of our contemporary culture, doesn't it? Here are the 4 lines of the Wordsworth poem, which include those words. He said, the world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away, a sordid boon. Given our hearts away. And for what? So returning to my question at the outset, why does any of this matter? these days especially, when we must be speaking up and speaking out, be out on the streets if we can to protest the egregious acts of this administration, the cruelty that we see of our president and so many around him, his imperial ambitions, his thoughtless wars. Yes, we need to be speaking up and speaking out to save our democracy, to save the rule of law at home and international, to maintain and sustain a livable planet, to ensure a decent and more than decent world for the children in our lives and grandchildren and generations to come. Why talk about the power and importance of wonder and awe in the midst of all that must be said and done? Well, to begin with, it's surely in part that we have to take care of ourselves by taking time and attention away from the incessant news of the day and the hour, never ends, and give our attention instead, sometimes just to the beauty around us, if only as a way of recharging. Right? But it is also more, far more than that, as I've been suggesting, since wonder and awe do take us away from our small selves and help us to enter into the experience of what has always been the case, which is that we are in communion with, you might say, the natural world with each other and with all living beings, which means these experiences open us to love. Love at the center, as our UU values put it. Experiences of wonder and awe have this power to bring us together with love as kin in the family of humanity and the family of life. Psychologist Patrick Keltner, in a book that came into my hands after I started thinking about all this, wonderful coincidence, serendipity. His book, Awe, The New Science of Everyday Wonder and How It Can Transform Your Life, affirms that wonder and awe bring us together not only when evoked by natural beauty, but by music, the arts, religious, spiritual practices, but above all, as Keltner, echoing Kant, affirmed, by moral beauty. In fact, he writes that a cross-cultural survey study, which asked people, all different nations and cultures, what brings them awe, what brings them to awe and wonder. Most commonly, he said, what most commonly led people around the world to feel awe was other people's courage, kindness, strength, and overcoming. Those demonstrators putting their lives at risk in Minneapolis in the truly frigid cold, and elsewhere in our nation, still ongoing, or Tehran a couple of months ago, Hong Kong a couple of years ago, Russia. Demonstrators putting their lives at risk for justice and freedom. How can one not stand in awe? Or on this Palm Sunday in the Christian liturgical calendar, thinking of pondering the moral courage of Jesus as he entered Jerusalem, a city in turmoil, we're told in the Gospels. And he entered Jerusalem with a few of his followers, knowing that the powers that be were after him, knowing he was putting his life in danger, as turned out to be the case. We can ponder his moral courage. All of these examples, and we can think of many, many more, reminding us of who we truly are as human beings, certainly of who we are at our best. Yes, of course, thinking beings, but also in some ways, more importantly and fundamentally, heart-centered, moral beings. We're meant to put our thought in service of our heart, of our moral center. We are heart-centered moral beings. All this reminds us of all that we are as humane human beings at our best, all that we seek in this world, in our nation, in our communities, to create places of mutual care and compassion for one another, and to care for our earth home. Rachel Carson, in words that may be familiar to many of you, wrote decades ago that she wished for every child an indestructible sense of wonder that would be, quote, an unfailing antidote against the boredom and disenchantments of later years. The sterile preoccupation, she wrote, with things that are artificial, the alienation from the sources of our strength. Alienation from the sources of our strength. She's talking about resilience. And if we fail to maintain that sense of wonder we become less resilient, we become alienated from our sources of strength, from our strength and resilience grounded in a sense of wonder, which, if you ever lose it, as Mark Aureli sang, honey, it would be too soon. Too soon. Too soon, certainly in terms of our individual capacity to be fully alive and awake, but also too soon for all of us together as a human family. Wonder and awe, direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder, as the first source of our UU living tradition puts it. Not an escape from life and the news, but as nourishment for our lives, whatever we're doing and whatever's going on in our personal lives or in the world around us. So yes, just as vitamins and minerals are essential, physical nourishment, exercise, and so on, so wonder and awe are essential for our spiritual nourishment. More important these days than ever, isn't it? Helping us to ground our lives and our actions not in the destructive and degrading cultural matrix of getting and spending, as the poet said, but in experiences of who we truly are, fully as human beings, which leads to profound solidarity with others, profound solidarity with life, all life, and with love. The kelson of creation, as Whitman put it, a kelson or keelson, it's part of the keel of a ship, which as it sails and the wind pushes this way, that way, but keeps it on course, on balance. Love does this, love at the center. All of this seems to me that we might be among those who in our moment of history helped to bend the arc of the moral universe. You've heard this many times. Toward justice, as Reverend King often said, at his moment of history. He was paraphrasing the 19th century Unitarian preacher and reformer Theodore Parker at his moment of history. And we now, striving to bend the arc of the moral universe at our moment, working together across our nation and around the planet for justice and so much else, because we know we should, not because we know we should, not because we know we should, but because we feel, deeply feel, we must. We have no choice. The moral law within our hearts, love, calls us. So may it be. Blessed be, and amen.
Thank you, Reverend Ken.
You're welcome.
The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember we are a self-sustaining organization, congregation, and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, How Can I Keep From Singing, number 108.
My life flows on in endless song of lover's lamentation. I hear the reel from far off wind that sails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth within. Though through the darkness round me glows, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. If love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon pile, our thoughts to them are ringing. When fenced by shame or undefiled, how can I keep from singing?
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice of the light of this faith lives on in us together, in our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits. Please extinguish your own chalice at home now. Now let's form a circle and join hands. We're ready.
Are we
Reverend Kim.
circled? Okay. So this, my message today is calibrated in part to invite each of us to remember to find experiences. You don't always have to wait for them, because sometimes they come unbidden. To find experiences of wonder. In that book I referenced, he talks about developing a habit of going for an awe walk. Just going outside or looking out the window and allowing yourself to experience the wonder of it all. That a tree can grow and the roots, we can't imagine them. Or the sun rising, but really it's the earth turning in this remarkable universe. And with such an experience, we can have the experience along with it, as Joanna Macy said, that the web of life is calling. The web of life is calling us to do our part. And so may we continue to do our part in whatever often modest ways we can by experiencing the blessings that are ours in our life, so that we might turn and make of our life a blessing to each person we meet in our life's journey, to those we love, to friends and neighbors, to make of our lives a blessing to life. So may it be. Blessed be.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody who makes these services possible. Your tech team is amazing. The music is always so beautiful. The slides that are chosen. So I'm most appreciative to be part of this, and I know a lot of work goes into it. So thank you all. Be well.
Thank you, Reverend Ken. Thank you.
Welcome.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You all too.